Something shocking is happening in the luxury world, and no one wants to admit it. The same designer bags that once made people feel powerful, admired, and exclusive are now sitting unsold. Boutique floors are quiet, resale sites are overflowing, and collectors who once waited months for a drop are suddenly over it. Luxury bags, the ultimate status symbol, have lost their magic. And for 9 iconic brands, this is the end of the line. From Mulberry's quiet retreat to Louis Vuitton's spectacular crash, these names ruled closets and red carpets for decades. But in 2025, they're not just fading, they're vanishing. Let's count them down and stay till the end, because the number 1 brand on this list, no one saw that coming. Starting with number 9, Mulberry. Once upon a time, Mulberry was the quiet powerhouse of British luxury, a brand that didn't need to shout to be noticed. Founded in 1971 in Somerset, it built its legacy on craftsmanship and subtle prestige. The Bayswater was its crown jewel, not a flashy logo piece, but a bag that whispered class. For over a decade, it hung from the arms of editors, executives, and royals. It was the symbol of quiet success. But in 2025, silence isn't golden anymore. It's invisible. Mulberry's problem isn't that it lost its craft. It's that it lost the crowd. The luxury world has changed. The same audience that once praised heritage now scrolls for hype. The TikTok generation doesn't care how a bag is stitched. They care how it trends. Mulberry's slow luxury message, once its strength, now feels out of sync with a digital market that resets every 24 hours. The numbers tell the story. In its latest financial report, Mulberry revealed a 22% drop in international sales and a steep decline in U.S. revenue. Their stores in New York and Tokyo have downsized, and their stock price has slipped below pre-pandemic levels. The company tried pivoting to a sustainability angle, marketing itself as responsible luxury with plant-based leather and eco-friendly packaging. But that hasn't been enough to reignite excitement, because while consumers say they want ethics, they buy emotion, and Mulberry's emotional pull has faded. The resale market sealed its fate. The Bayswater, once the pride of collectors, is now selling for as little as $300 on the real. Influencers joke that it's the bag your mom bought when she got her promotion. The younger crowd sees it as safe, predictable, the luxury equivalent of driving a Volvo. Even worse, Mulberry hasn't produced a breakout design in years. The last major hit was before Gen Z even started high school. Without new icons, the brand feels frozen in time, stuck between nostalgia and irrelevance. In short, Mulberry became what every luxury brand fears: respected but unloved. Too good to disappear overnight, but too forgettable to survive another luxury cycle. And as Mulberry quietly drifts into the background, the next brand on our list proves that being loud isn't any safer than being silent. Number 8, Balenciaga. If Mulberry died from silence, Balenciaga's downfall came from the noise. Loud, messy, and unforgettable. There was a time when owning a Balenciaga bag was like wearing rebellion on your arm. The city bag, inspired by biker jackets and made famous by Kate Moss and Nicole Richie in the early 2000s, redefined cool. It was slouchy, unstructured, effortlessly undone. The anti-Hermes. Then came the hourglass, sleek and sculpted, the bold statement piece for the Instagram age. For 2 decades, Balenciaga wasn't just in fashion, it was shaping it. But by 2025, that prestige has crumbled. The resale market, the pulse of true demand, tells the full story. The hourglass bag, which once retailed for $3,200, now struggles to fetch half its value. The Neo City, once a favorite of Gen Z influencers, has disappeared from TikTok entirely. And the biggest red flag? Resellers aren't even fighting for stock anymore. The Real, Fashion Feel, and Vestiaire Collective, all once flooded with buyers, now list hundreds of Balenciaga bags gathering digital dust. What went wrong? The short answer: overexposure and overpricing. After Balenciaga's 2022 scandal and subsequent PR nightmare, the brand lost the one thing luxury can't survive without: trust. They tried to rebuild through quiet luxury collections, toning down the shock factor that once defined them. But the pendulum swung too far. The designs lost personality, and with it, demand. Even loyal customers started noticing quality issues. What used to be thick, rich leather now feels flimsy and mass-produced, stitching inconsistencies, warped hardware, and peeling edges. Small details, but deadly in a market obsessed with perfection. When you charge $3,000 for a handbag, you're not just selling a product, you're selling belief. and Balenciaga's buyers stopped believing. Culturally, the brand has lost its grip. In 2020, carrying a Balenciaga bag meant you were ahead of the curve, edgy, ironic, in tune with the chaos of fashion. In 2025, it means you're late to the party. The viral memes, the exaggerated silhouettes, the logo-drenched bags, all the things that made Balenciaga cool have become cringe. Even their pivot to sustainability came off as performative. Too little, too late. While competitors like Loewe and Bottega Veneta mastered subtle sophistication, Balenciaga's attempts to do the same feel forced. The result? A brand that once dictated taste now looks desperate to keep up. And as Balenciaga's handbags fade into luxury's rearview mirror, the next brand proves that even flawless craftsmanship can't save you when the world stops caring. Number 7. Bottega Veneta. If Balenciaga burned out from too much noise, Bottega Veneta is fading from too much calm. A few years ago, Bottega was unstoppable. It became the face of quiet luxury long before the trend went mainstream. The cassette bag with its padded weave was everywhere. Minimal yet rich, subtle yet instantly recognizable, it was the kind of bag that didn't need a logo to prove its worth. In 2020, when the world got tired of loud monograms, Bottega Veneta was the answer. But in 2025, the brand that once thrived on understatement is suffering from its own silence. Sales have slowed dramatically, and its once hyped bags, cassette, jodi, pouch, are now overpopulating resale sites at half their original price. Even the Real, once flooded with eager buyers, reports a steep decline in Bottega searches compared to 2022. The once coveted "it girl" aesthetic has become too polished, too perfect, and perfection, ironically, doesn't sell anymore. The trouble started when the market shifted again. Quiet luxury had its moment, but like all trends, it moved on. Gen Z shoppers, now a driving force in luxury consumption, don't want subtlety. They want storytelling, personality, and edge. Bottega's calm sophistication suddenly feels cold. The very thing that made it desirable, its restraint, now reads as emotionless. And then there's the issue of pricing. The average Bottega Veneta handbag costs upward of $3,500, with limited edition pieces reaching $8,000. But when your brand identity is built on simplicity, you can't justify that kind of premium forever, especially when smaller labels like Kite, Savette, and Totem offer the same aesthetic for half the price. Even loyal customers have started voicing concerns about wear and durability. The soft lambskin weave, once Bottega's signature, is notoriously delicate, a nightmare for daily use. Buyers are realizing that quiet luxury might look elegant, but it doesn't hold up to real life. The result? A brand trapped in its own image, beautiful, poised, and slowly becoming irrelevant. Unless Bottega Veneta learns to evolve, to inject warmth and humanity back into its designs, it risks being remembered as the brand that mastered silence, then disappeared in it. And while Bottega fades in whispers, the next brand on our list went out with a bang, a glittering, high-heeled, rhinestone-covered bang. Number 6, Jimmy Choo. For years, Jimmy Choo was the name women whispered when they talked about making it. From Carrie Bradshaw in Sex and the City to red carpets dripping in Swarovski crystals, Jimmy Choo wasn't just a brand. It was fantasy, the kind of brand that made you feel taller before you even put the heels on. And when they expanded into handbags, it seemed like the next logical step. Except by 2025, that fantasy doesn't sell anymore. The luxury bag market has evolved, and Jimmy Choo's aesthetic hasn't. Their handbags, structured clutches, and glitzy mini totes with enough sparkle to blind a paparazzo, once screamed exclusivity. Now they feel out of place in a world that's trading glamour for subtlety. The same shimmer that once represented success now feels, frankly, outdated. Sales data backs it up. Capri Holdings, the parent company that also owns Michael Kors and Versace, reported a decline in accessory sales for Jimmy Choo throughout 2024 and early 2025, particularly in North America. Their bag line, once a sidekick to their famous heels, never managed to find its own identity. The Bon Bon and Varenne bags were meant to be it items, but they never caught on with the new generation of luxury consumers. Part of the issue lies in brand confusion. Jimmy Choo is still seen as a shoe brand first. When people think of heritage in handbags, they think Louis Vuitton, Dior, Hermes, not Jimmy Choo. And despite multiple attempts to expand their image through collaborations and celebrity endorsements, they've struggled to break free from their crystal-covered niche. Another blow came from the resale market. Jimmy Choo bags depreciate faster than almost any other luxury name. A Varenne that retailed for $2,400 can now be found on Vestiaire Collective for under $600, often in near-perfect condition. In a market that values resale longevity, that kind of drop kills desirability. Even their recent rebranding efforts, toning down the sparkle, focusing on modern femininity, haven't landed. Because when your entire brand DNA is built on glam, you can't pivot to quiet luxury without losing your soul. Jimmy Choo built an empire on being seen. But in 2025, no one wants to shine that loudly anymore. And while Choo struggles to reinvent itself, our next brand took the opposite route, betting everything on its legacy. Unfortunately, that legacy is starting to feel like history. Number 5. Burberry. Burberry's story has always been one of reinvention, from British military trenches to global catwalks. The brand practically defined the phrase heritage luxury. The check pattern was iconic, the trench coat was timeless, and for a while, their handbags carried that same prestige. Owning a Burberry bag meant you had refinement, not just money. But in 2025, that heritage feels more like baggage. Burberry's biggest challenge is that it can't decide what it wants to be anymore. One year it's modern British cool, the next it's chasing streetwear trends. Daniel Lee's appointment as creative director in 2022 brought optimism. His tenure at Bottega Veneta had revived that brand's desirability. But while the fashion world loved the bold colors and refreshed logo, everyday buyers never truly connected. The runway bags, structured, geometric, and aggressively priced, didn't resonate with Burberry's traditional base. The Lola bag, meant to be their big revival piece, never quite took off. For a few months, influencers carried it everywhere, but the momentum died as quickly as it started. Today, it's discounted across multiple markets, with resale value dropping by over 45% since its debut. Even worse, Burberry's bag designs now blend into the background, neither classic enough to compete with Hermes nor modern enough to attract Gen Z. And financially, it shows. Burberry's 2025 reports revealed a dip in North American sales, largely due to softening demand in handbags and accessories. Luxury analysts point out that while clothing and outerwear retain prestige, the accessories segment, once a major growth driver, has stagnated. The brand's attempt to go younger and bolder alienated its core clientele without capturing the new audience it was chasing. Part of Burberry's magic used to be emotional, that unmistakable Britishness, a sense of rain-soaked glamour. But the global market doesn't crave that anymore. The younger luxury buyer isn't dreaming of London fog. They're thinking of California sunlight and digital street style. The world moved on, and Burberry didn't notice fast enough. Even its once sacred logo has lost power. The beige check pattern that once symbolized old money restraint now appears on resale sites and outlet stores, stripped of its mystique. Burberry isn't gone yet, but its grip on the handbag world is loosening fast. And as Burberry's legacy wobbles, our next brand on the list proves that even the promise of affordable luxury can't save you from disappearing. Number 4. Michael Kors. Michael Kors once ruled the American handbag market. In the mid-2010s, you couldn't walk through an airport, a college campus, or even a department store without spotting that gleaming MK logo. The jet-set tote was everywhere, sleek, affordable, and aspirational. For a while, Michael Kors was the symbol of attainable luxury. But that phrase, attainable luxury, became the brand's undoing. By 2025, Michael Kors is in a full-blown identity crisis. The brand that once made luxury feel reachable is now stuck between two worlds, too expensive to be accessible, too common to feel elite. The logo that once screamed success now whispers discount. The problem started when Kors expanded too fast. The brand flooded malls, outlets, and online stores with endless variations of the same bag. Gold hardware, dangling charm, same structure, different name. The exclusivity vanished overnight. When everyone owns it, no one wants it. Sales tell the story. According to Capri Holdings' 2025 earnings report, Michael Kors' revenue has fallen nearly 18% year over year. Their handbag division, which once accounted for the bulk of profits, has seen double-digit declines for 5 straight quarters. Even their premium lines, meant to compete with Coach and Tory Burch, haven't been able to turn things around. The resale market is even harsher. A $450 Kors bag now resells for under $80, sometimes less. Secondhand stores are overwhelmed with unsold stock, and that tells you everything. The brand has lost not just luxury status, but resale value, the currency of modern prestige. To make matters worse, the younger audience doesn't relate to the Michael Kors aesthetic anymore. Gen Z isn't buying bags for logos. They're buying stories, sustainability, and individuality. They want brands that stand for something beyond price. Kors, stuck in its 2010s glamour bubble, never evolved. Even its attempts to rebrand haven't worked. Capsule collections, heritage reissues, influencer partnerships, all have felt forced. The brand is too commercial to be cool, too familiar to be fresh. What makes this decline especially tragic is that Michael Kors could have stayed timeless. The craftsmanship isn't bad, the designs aren't terrible. But when you spend a decade chasing everyone, you eventually belong to no one. As Michael Kors tries to recapture its fading sparkle, the next brand shows that even global fame can't protect you when your audience falls out of love fast. Number 3. Versace. Versace has always been about excess, gold, glamour, and unapologetic boldness. For decades, it was the house of high-octane confidence. From Gianni's 90s supermodel reign to Donatella's revival of opulent Italian drama, Versace stood for the kind of luxury that didn't whisper, it roared. A Versace bag wasn't just an accessory, it was a personality. But in 2025, that roar has become a faint echo. Versace's problem isn't lack of talent, it's lack of focus. Under Capri Holdings, the same parent company as Michael Kors and Jimmy Choo, the brand was pushed hard into commercial expansion. The goal was to make Versace more accessible, but accessibility kills allure. What once felt rare and theatrical now feels mass-produced and forced. The numbers prove it. Capri Holdings' 2025 second quarter report showed Versace's revenue dropping 11% year-over-year, with the steepest declines in handbag sales. Their La Medusa bag, once a breakout hit in 2021, is now heavily discounted in department stores, a fate no true luxury brand wants. It launched as the modern icon, but was quickly oversaturated. When a bag appears in every color, every mall, and every influencer feed, it stops being aspirational. It becomes wallpaper. The brand also misjudged the post-pandemic shift in taste. For years, Versace's identity relied on maximalism, gold chains, neon leather, oversized logos, but the market pivoted to understated, timeless pieces. While Bottega and Loewe embraced subtle craftsmanship, Versace doubled down on flash, and that gamble didn't pay off. Consumers grew weary of Instagram luxury, the kind of fashion that looked rich but felt hollow. Even their attempts at collaboration, once a guaranteed publicity boost, have lost impact. The Fendi X Versace Fendays collection in 2022 was supposed to signal power synergy. Instead, it blurred identities and confused buyers. Versace's DNA, sex appeal, boldness, defiance, is now diluted across too many directions. Then there's the resale disaster. The La Medusa and Virtus bags, which retailed for over $2,000, are being listed online for $500 or less. The demand has vanished because the designs age quickly. They're statement pieces that lose relevance as soon as the next trend drops. Versace's tragedy is that it still means something, but it no longer matters. The fashion house that once defined confidence now feels like it's performing nostalgia for an audience that's already left the room. And as Versace struggles to reclaim its throne, the next brand proves that even when you're an American icon, you can still fall from grace. Number 2, Coach. For decades, Coach was American luxury. It built its empire on craftsmanship, storytelling, and a promise that quality leather could be aspirational and accessible. In the early 2000s, a Coach bag was a milestone purchase. It said, "I'm successful, but I'm still practical." From the Willis to the Tabby, these bags became part of everyday fashion culture. But in 2025, that story has worn thin, literally and figuratively. Coach's decline isn't sudden, it's slow and suffocating. The kind of fall that happens when a brand becomes everything to everyone and nothing to itself. The company tried to reinvent itself as a heritage meets hype hybrid, mixing nostalgia with streetwear energy, but ended up confusing both markets. The Tabby bag, which sparked a short-lived revival, was supposed to bring the brand back to its roots. Instead, it exposed its biggest flaw: repetition. Consumers loved it and then got bored. The American market has shifted dramatically. Where Coach once stood as the leader of affordable luxury, that category has lost meaning. Gen Z buyers either trade up for genuine exclusivity, Loewe, Celine, or trade down for authenticity, Polan, Esther Ekme. Coach, stuck in the middle, has no clear tribe anymore. Even their craftsmanship, once their secret weapon, isn't enough. Reports of declining material quality and inconsistent stitching have surfaced across TikTok and Reddit, eroding the trust that took decades to build. When a brand built on leather and longevity starts being accused of cutting corners, it's game over. Financially, the warning lights are flashing. Tapestry Inc., Coach's parent company, reported a slowdown in U.S. handbag sales for the third consecutive quarter in 2025. The brand's global strategy, leaning heavily into collaborations and viral campaigns, has failed to spark consistent growth. Their Coachtopia sustainability line aimed to attract younger shoppers, but its recycled plastic aesthetic cheapened the luxury image further. Resale tells the same story. Classic Coach bags that once held value are now listed for under $150, while newer collections barely move at all. Even collectors admit that Coach has become mall brand energy again, the very reputation it spent years trying to shed. Coach isn't just losing money, it's losing meaning. In a market where emotion drives every luxury purchase, the brand's nostalgia has stopped hitting. And if Coach is the story of a brand fading into comfort, our number one is the opposite. A brand so inflated by hype, it's now collapsing under its own weight and fast. Number 1. Louis Vuitton. At the top of the luxury pyramid sits a name once considered untouchable, Louis Vuitton. For over a century, LV didn't just define luxury, it was luxury. From monogram trunks to celebrity collaborations, it mastered the art of blending exclusivity and desire. But in 2025, that very dominance has become its downfall. The cracks began showing when the market shifted from aspiration to awareness. For years, Louis Vuitton could sell anything with its logo. Now the logo itself is the problem. It's everywhere, on handbags, sneakers, coffee table books, even phone cases. The brand that once whispered wealth now screams accessibility. And when everyone can own a piece of your empire, what's left for the elite to desire? The data paints a grim picture. Resale prices for classic LV bags have plummeted by as much as 40% since 2023, and the once coveted Neverfull has become the poster child of luxury oversaturation. You'll find it marked down in secondhand stores across the US, sometimes priced lower than mid-tier brands like Tory Burch or Coach. Boutique staff have quietly admitted that inventory sits longer than it used to, especially in North America. Part of the issue lies in creative direction. Under Pharrell Williams, Louis Vuitton has embraced spectacle, bold colors, celebrity-packed runways, billion-dollar hype. And while that works for virality, it's alienating traditional luxury buyers who crave subtlety, craftsmanship, and continuity. LV's heritage was built on refinement. Now it's built on buzz. Another problem? Quality perception. Social media has exposed inconsistencies in stitching, fading hardware, and thinner canvas compared to older models. For a brand that charges 5 figures per bag, even a rumor of declining craftsmanship is toxic. The conversation online has shifted from, "I wish I could afford one," to, "It's not worth the price anymore." Culturally, Louis Vuitton has lost its aura. What was once a symbol of achievement now feels mainstream. TikTokers unbox LV hauls next to Amazon dupes. Influencers flaunt the same monogram that used to be reserved for royalty. The brand's greatest strength, ubiquity, has become its curse. Louis Vuitton won't vanish entirely. It's too big, too established. But 2026 might mark the year its name stops meaning what it used to. Prestige isn't permanent, it's earned, and right now, Vuitton's chasing attention, not admiration. The king of luxury hasn't fallen yet, but the crown's starting to slip. And if this collapse tells us anything, it's that even the world's most powerful brands can lose their magic when they forget the one rule of luxury. It only works when not everyone can have it. Louis Vuitton's story isn't just the fall of one brand, it's the mirror reflecting an entire industry's undoing. Because this isn't just about logos or handbags, it's about what happens when luxury stops being rare and starts being routine, when heritage turns into marketing and craftsmanship becomes content. The truth is, the American luxury bag market didn't collapse overnight. It was chipped away piece by piece every time a brand chased clicks instead of class. Mulberry, Balenciaga, Bottega, Chew, Burberry, Kors, Versace, Coach, Vuitton, they all had their moment. They all sold the dream. But by 2025, people finally woke up. The next generation isn't buying names, they're buying meaning. They want something real, something that still feels earned. So maybe this isn't a tragedy after all. Maybe it's a reset. Luxury isn't dying. It's being reborn, stripped of the noise, the hype, and the glitter. What's left will be smaller, rarer, and more human. The kind of beauty you can't mass produce or market into existence. If you made it this far, you already know. The future of luxury won't belong to the loudest brands. It'll belong to the ones brave enough to be silent again. Like, subscribe, and stay curious. Because the next luxury revolution has already begun.